Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm an environmental champion with the Kansas chapter of Sierra Club. For those who aren't familiar with the Sierra Club is the oldest and largest grassroots organization dedicated to helping the environment, and we have been around since 1892. Our Kansas chapter, with about 5,000 members statewide, has been around advocating for the great outdoors for more than 40 years. Today, I have the pleasure of joining you on this video series, Making the Connections, Climate Change in Kansas. Specifically, I'm excited to talk with you about how Kansas can make what I call the clean energy transition. So are you ready? Yeah? Let's begin. By now, most of us that are paying any real attention realize that Kansas, the United States, and the world are facing an unprecedented challenge of dealing with increased severe and volatile weather disasters and extreme climate trends known as the climate crisis, largely caused by us, people, and our pollution of greenhouse gases that trap heat in our atmosphere. And this isn't a communist conspiracy theory. This is a conclusion of thousands of extremely smart scientists who have looked at the historical, contemporary data from around the world. I don't need to tell you that worldwide, we are continuing to see the trends of this pollution and warming of our air and oceans, and its effect in causing more prevalent, treacherous situations involving floods, droughts, hurricanes and tornadoes, severe weather, extreme temperature swings, wildfires, and rising sea levels. Kansas, like many states, is facing these perils too. Recently, here in the Sunflower State, we have seen increasingly dangerous and costly climate-related disasters, including our state's biggest wildfires in back-to-back years, recurrent 100-year flooding events, emergency-level droughts, and powerful storm events too. Furthermore, record-breaking monthly temperatures and rainfall, high force winds, and unseasonable weather swings have become more common and thus threatening our community safety, infrastructure, and our economic sectors, and especially our biggest industry, agriculture. Now, some people say this isn't really a problem. I say talk to the people who have experienced the fallout of these effects firsthand. Those who have had their homes damaged from all the flooding and water in their basement, those who face loss with tornadoes and extreme weather, the farmers and ranchers who have struggled with the droughts, unseasonal snow events, and wildfires. I'd say take a look at our official government analysis that shows Kansas being part of 54 separate billion-dollar climate-related disasters, and that 7 of our top 10 state hazards are extreme weather related. Or ask our top military leaders who have declared climate change as an urgent and growing threat to our national security. I say, let's think about what we ask ourselves as Kansans, as Americans, when we are faced with a challenge. We take it on, ad astra per aspera, or to the stars through difficulty. Fortunately, many Kansans and local leaders realize there's a lot at stake here in Kansas, both at risk, but also in terms of opportunity in taking on this challenge. Why? Because a big piece of the puzzle is energy. Fortunately, many Kansans and local leaders realize that there is a lot at stake here in Kansas, both at risk, but also in terms of opportunity in taking on this challenge. Why? Because a big piece of the puzzle is energy. Generating energy accounts for a major chunk of the greenhouse gases, and notably carbon dioxide, CO2, the largest greenhouse gas emission. The United States is the second most producer of CO2 behind China, with 16% of the world's CO2. We emit more carbon dioxide than India, Russia, and Japan combined. Wow. Nationally, 28% of that greenhouse gas pollution is from producing electricity. As a state, Kansas is an above average carbon emitting state per capita, and electric power represents 40% of our CO2 output. So let's rewind and review real quick. 1, continued pollution of heat trapping greenhouse gases like CO2 have put us at the front step of the climate crisis. 2, The U.S. is a major contributor to CO2 problem, and energy is a big reason for this pollution. And three, Kansas has a lot at stake when it comes to climate change, and transforming electric power is the biggest and best way to reduce our carbon pollution. That brings us to the clean energy transition. The clean energy transition is the transformation of our energy sector to not only be carbon and pollutant free, but also to capture other economic, environmental, and social benefits. And there's an easy way to do it. Transition away from our most polluting energy form in our electric power sector, coal. Coal power was our primary form of electrical generation last century, and 20 years ago, Kansas burned coal we got from Wyoming for generating nearly 80% of our electricity, 80%. The cost of coal, including the billions of dollars in capital costs and construction and cleaning up its smokestack pollutants, are a major reason why Kansas have the highest electric bill compared to other states neighboring us. However, because coal has become more expensive relative to increasingly more affordable clean energy resources, coal generation has been cut in half from the mid-2000s to today. That said, Kansas still has 9 coal plants remaining, many still in use since the 1970s and 80s. Together, on average, run less than half the time. So in recap, 9 coal plants that are 40 to 50 years old that burn Wyoming coal account for most of our CO2 greenhouse gases that continue to cost Kansans millions of dollars, even though we run them at half capacity or less. However, Kansas is on the verge of the clean energy transition and can be one of the first Midwestern states to attain 100% renewable electric sector. We are already leading the country with the largest percentage of power coming from wind at around 36%. We're almost reaching the milestone where Kansans will use more Kansas wind than Wyoming coal for their electricity in the next few years. Top 10 state for wind, but also for solar resources too, though we're at only 1% now. Couple that with ways to harness renewables for energy storage, and we eliminate the need for using coal and natural gas as backup power completely. More companies, cities, and universities are seeking 100% renewable energy commitments in Kansas. Recently, companies like Target, T-Mobile, Cargill, and others have secured power purchase agreements, PPAs, using Kansas wind farms. Last year, K-State and KU also opted into Westar's Renewable Direct program. Clearly, the demand for renewable energy and long-term power purchase agreements are rising, and Kansas is well positioned to supply more entities with renewables, especially if the clean energy transition picks up speed. Energy efficiency, using improved technology and operations to deliver the same energy services with less fuel, is an answer for reducing the raw carbon-based fuels and greenhouse gas emissions. The cheapest energy we use is the energy we don't use, or the energy we save, in other words. In this regard, Kansas has much to gain in this area because Kansas is currently ranked 46th of all states in energy efficiency programs, according to the American Council on Energy Efficiency Economy 2019 state rankings. Lately, there has been more interest in establishing an energy efficiency program here in Kansas. Updating our electrical grid to be more modern, resilient, and efficient is another important element to the clean energy transition. More interstate and interregional transmission are needed to capitalize energy resources, and smart grid infrastructure for advanced metering, distributed energy optimization, and electric vehicles are vital for our collective well-being in terms of a climate-resilient energy system. A final component of the clean energy transition is energy storage. Having energy storage and the ability to have a reserve backup amount of energy to use when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing is critical for our power needs. In fact, this is one of the biggest reasons right now why Kansas and other states are still using fossil fuels for energy. Innovating technologies like battery storage, compressed air energy storage, flywheels, and thermal storage are all being developed to provide this storage capacity. Unfortunately, Compared to other states, Kansas is far behind on exploring energy storage, and its current annual energy storage deployment is zero. However, I hope our leaders will change that situation soon. In sum, utilizing energy efficiency, energy storage, updating our electrical grid to be more modern, and using our vast clean energy resources like wind, solar, can help us complete the clean energy transition and tackle the root of climate change here in the heartland. We ought to take it upon ourselves as Kansans, as Americans, to take responsibility, action, and leadership to help save the world when it comes to climate. In doing so, not only will we leave this place we call home much better for future generations, but will also help our health, economy, and quality of life for ourselves and others. We can do it, and we should. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope we can make this information matter by taking action. Join us.